Star Sea Conqueror, 10,000 times rewards, frigate destroys stars. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 1. Welcome to the Shanghai era. Here, each of you will have an initial battleship. Send your ship, collect supplies in the universe, and then upgrade to build your own space fleet. In this endless darkness of the universe, you must always be on the lookout for anyone. Be careful and careful, otherwise you will die without a place to die. Only fight to face the countless races in that endless sea of stars. Create your own galactic era. Am I born again? Qin Sheng sat up violently, looking at the surrounding scenery and searching for the memories in his mind. Immediately understood what was going on. Listening to the vast words coming from his ears, he was truly born again. The Star Sea game has arrived, and now Qin Sheng is on the Earth, but in 5 minutes, the entire Earth will be destroyed. At the same time, tens of billions of people around the world will also be thrown into the deep space of the universe. One battleship per person, a space base, began to develop. This cosmic sea of stars is calm on the surface, but in fact it is surging undercurrents. Not only beware of other human players, but also face countless alien forces in the universe. There are even superficially unremarkable, but in fact they are left over from the ancient cosmic era. With godlike technology, it is now a degenerate civilization that does not want to make progress. The awakening of the fallen empire, the extinction of the Iron Heart, the rebellion of the Iron Man, and the Solemn Agreement. Subspace demon invasion. For great subspace evil god, treacherous, sexual abuse, fear abuse, and dirt. Zerg invasion. Wait, all kinds of late natural disasters. Qin Sheng in his previous life had been playing in the Star Sea game for hundreds of years. It was in the midst of the battle with the subspace demons that he and his entire fleet were completely destroyed. Buried in the starry sky. Star Sea games, although called games, is an incomparably real universe. This time, I can take advantage of the prophetic foresight and walk ahead of everyone. Take charge of your own destiny, instead of being consumed as cannon fodder like in the previous life. Qin Sheng's eyes shone with danger. Soon, time passed, and the light in front of Qin Sheng flickered. He was in a blue space. The sound of the Star Sea game system rings in your ears. You've entered the subspace and are waiting to be allocated. Please determine your character code. Qin Sheng took a deep breath, and then he gave an incomparably flamboyant name, Emperor. Character code name Emperor, confirmed. Being assigned to you, your initial starry race. Confirmation completed, your initial starry race has been determined. Silicon-based creatures, tactical humanoids. Silicon-based biotactical humanoid, a mechanical creature with the appearance of a beautiful human girl. Combat potential, S-class. Smart potential, SSS-level. Combined potential, SSS-level. Race special ability, Iron Heart assimilation. Assimilated other races. Unlimited loyalty to you, immune to the influence of the late natural disaster rectification agreement. Introduction. The appearance is the same as that of humans, it is extremely realistic, but it is actually a supergroup race of mechanical creations. Every Star Sea gamer will have an initial race. The potential level of the race under his command also represents the height of future development. Potential levels range from F to SSS. And the human race is rated in D. In the previous life, the race under Qin Sheng's command was a D-level human race. Of course, it is not that races with low potential must not reach their peaks. In the later stages, you can also choose routes such as mechanical ascension, spiritual energy ascension, and genetic ascension for your own race, and open up the brain domain of the racial brain. This makes your own race undergo a leap forward. But now, Qin Sheng's initial race was a tactical humanoid with SSS-level potential. It is equivalent to the fact that he has completed the mechanical ascension of his own race in the late stage. Standing in front of the starting line of tens of billions of players. Immune to natural disasters in the later stages of the game, rectify the agreement. Qin Sheng's body trembled with almost excitement. Later in the universe there will be a natural disaster, the Iron Man rebellion, and the Solemn Agreement. And his tactical humanoid maiden, infinitely loyal to him, is immune to this natural disaster. As the game begins, you'll enter the galactic region, the Orion Division, the 0521 Mugmangle Galaxy codenamed 02140. Galaxy coordinates, Z21014, X12854, Y641234. The 0521 Multius Galaxy has 3 stable star systems with a galactic radius of 1.5 light-years. You have received the initial battleship, 1 FG-300 frigate and 1 X-8 small engineering ship. A flash of light flashed in front of him, and he was already in the middle of a space battleship. FG-300 frigate, bridge. Tactical humanoid maidens, welcome the Emperor. Before Qin Sheng could react, he heard a chorus of beautiful female voices that were extremely pleasant. I saw only hundreds of white-skinned and long-legged girls with exquisite and beautiful appearances, each with thousands of autumns standing neatly in front of Qin Sheng. The leader is a black-haired girl dressed in a white research suit, with beautiful legs, the most perfect figure, the most delicate face, and no expression like frost. Scientific humanoid, K1 Envilia, hello. When Envilia's frosty face faced Qin Sheng, there was a touch of glacial melting warmth, but it was covered up in an instant. Tactical humanoid, K1. Race, silicon-based creature/tactical humanoid. Body length, 182 centimeters. Rating, LV.1. Occupation, researcher. Passive skill, supercomputer, hash rate level, excellence level. Potential cap, SSS. Qin Sheng's breathing almost stopped. The cold black-haired girl in front of her, the computing power of her brain is currently excellent. Star Sea games, whether it is battleships or items, have a hierarchy. Take computer grade as an example. Normal, good, quantum, superior, quantum, Turing, quantum, galactic, cosmic ultimate. Although it is only the excellence level at present, its potential evaluation is SSS level. That is to say, the future development to the peak, Avrilia's computing power, enough to calculate the entire universe by one person. Battle humanoid, Z1 Ira, say hello to you, Honorable Emperor. Before Qin Sheng could speak, another tall, long blonde hair tied into a single ponytail and a confident smile on her face stood up. Ella's pretty face had a big grin. Engineer humanoid, G1 Neil, say hello to you, Honorable Emperor. The voice of a timid girl rang out. Neil had 2 flax braids and looked weak. Episode 2. Envilia, bring up the details of the current battleship. Qin Sheng immediately gave the order. Yes, Emperor. Avrilia's delicate face was expressionless, and she meticulously carried out the order. Model, FG-300 Combat Frigate. Type, Frigate. Armor, primary special alloy armor plate. Armor thickness, 250 mm. Body length, 250 m. Self-weight, 85,500 tons. Hull structure value, 9650. Weapon system, FG-300 type shipboard 120 mm twin-mounted rapid electromagnetic gun X4. Twin-mounted 25 mm close-in gun X5. Firepower against ships, 2000. Anti-aircraft firepower, 540. Siege firepower, 300. Standard occupant, 750 people. Energy system, RT-150 integrated energy conversion system. Powertrain, EN-150 universal vector engine, 4 million kilometers per hour. Curvature engine, none. Manufacturing demand. Primary special alloys 79,000 tons, purple crystals 5,400 tons, heavy hydrogen 1,100 tons. Production time, 24 hours. Ship, D. Air defense, D. Siege, E. Battlefield survivability, E. Strategy, D. Combined potential, D class, the most basic frigate. Everyone starts with a base ship. It's hard to upgrade a battleship. There are 2 ways to upgrade battleships. One is to honestly study the technology and upgrade the blueprint of the battleship. From the upgrade of weapon technology to the upgrade of basic materials, armor. All require an incomparably large amount of research, calculation, and renewal. Generally speaking, only battleships with potential will be worthy of being treated this way. But this is relatively slow, as long as 4 or 5 years, and more than a few decades to complete. The other is to control the battleship to fight. When an enemy warship is destroyed, data on the opposing ship is obtained. Act as an experience. If you're lucky, you'll also be able to get the battleship modules left over from the opposing ship, and you'll be able to replace the modules for your own ships. Level up your battleship. Qin Sheng still remembers. In his previous life, he accidentally acquired a ship with S-class potential and overall comprehensive potential A-class. Blueprint for a cruiser with rail heavy artillery technology. Immerse yourself in blueprints, one with combat, battle data, newly acquired battleship modules. Give it all. It took him almost 5 years back and forth. Only then was the orbital heavy artillery cruiser blueprint finally upgraded to the highest. Upgrading a battleship doesn't happen overnight, I'm busy. Qin Sheng looked at the virtual panel in front of him and secretly said in his heart. Emperor, I have observed that ships of unknown power are approaching us. Distance, 500,000 kilometers. Qin Sheng was shocked. In general, in this case, the most likely encounter is the interstellar pirates all over the galaxy. Engineer humanoid Neil, leading some of the men to control the engineering ship, away from the fighting, the others. All in place and ready for battle, Qin Sheng immediately gave the order. Engineering ships have no combat ability, and if they lose engineering ships, then Qin Sheng will lose the ability to build his own base. At the same time, he looked at Angelia, the task of directing the battle is entrusted to you. Anvillia stared at Qin Sheng's eyes and nodded heavily. I will complete it perfectly. Hundreds of tactical humanoid maidens were immediately in place. Start taking control of the battleship. Benefit from the racial superiority of the tactical humanoid. They control the battleship without relying on specific operating buttons or operating panels. Instead, it is directly connected to the neural interface and controlled directly with its own silicon-based brain. The more computational the tactical humanoid captain, the more perfect the control of the battleship. This is the legendary manship unity. Thanks to this, Qin Sheng's FG-300 frigate is different from others, and there is no specific operation panel. That is to say, if the enemy captured Qin Sheng's warship, then without similar neural technology, it would be completely impossible to operate. In the dark cosmic starry sky, the tails of 3 frigates with dark red liveries spewed out blue tail flames. Coming towards Qin Sheng's battleship. It's an intergalactic pirate indeed. Hound Starship 027 Fleet. Affiliation, Intergalactic Pirates. Rating, LV.1. Number of fleets, 3 frigates. Fleet combined pair, 6,000. 3 pirate frigates. 3 times as strong as I am. But Qin Sheng's eyes flashed a dangerous light. He has Avilia in, and Avilia's computing power is superior. A good class of shipboard AI with 10,000 times the computing power of pirate frigates. Qin Sheng was incomparably clear about the gap. Because in his previous life, he had been hanged by people who were far superior to his fleet by shipboard AI. Ha 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 ha, brothers, there's a battleship ahead. Let's rush up and grab them clean. Minerals, supplies, women, we all want it all. Among the pirate warships led by them, the pirate leader laughed wildly. They launched the first offensive first. The guns on the 3 pirate frigates aimed and then opened fire. With the brilliant light in the dark space, more than a dozen shells came out of the chamber. Paddle through the vacuum. Among the beautiful black pupils of Anvillia, a stream of data flashed. In an instant, she calculated the trajectory and speed of the opposite shell. In space, the tail of the silver-white frigate spewed out blue flames. The battleship was driven to draw a strange mark in space. More than 10 shells, perfectly dodged. At the same time as the counterattack, the 4 120mm twin rapid electromagnetic guns on the FG-300 frigate flashed a blue electromagnetic glow. Electromagnetic shells came out of the chamber. The distance between the 2 sides is not close, and there are currently more than 100,000 kilometers. From a distance, the incredibly fast electromagnetic shells also appear slow at this distance. It's like 4 blue comets, dragging the electromagnetic remnants of tail flames towards each other. The pirate warships also immediately began to evade. But they don't avoid it, and when they do, it's as if they've taken the initiative to hit a shell. There is no resistance in the vacuum, and the kinetic energy of the solid object is basically not attenuated. Electromagnetic shells carrying great kinetic energy crashed into the armor of the pirate warship. Then explode. A pirate frigate was immediately painted. The pirates continued to fire in a fit of rage. But the silver-white frigate seemed to be open and hung, allowing the pirates to fire hundreds of shells. The action is strange, and the leaves do not stick to the body. On the other hand, the pirates almost had to eat the shells of Qin Sheng's warships. Not long after, an armor-piercing shell finally penetrated the armor of the pirate frigate. Hit the ammunition depot of the pirate frigate. Martyrdom happened immediately. Gorgeous and silent explosions appear in space. The other 2 pirate frigates followed suit. The FG-300 frigate destroys the pirate frigate. The FG-300 frigate destroys the pirate frigate. The FG-300 frigate destroys the pirate frigate. Battle victory. Congratulations on the loot. Technical data value X6. Primary heavy electromagnetic gun module. Data error. Recalculate. Reward 100x increase. Congratulations on obtaining the technical data value X600. Congratulations on getting the plasma pulse heavy artillery module. Automatically replaced. Consumes technical data values X60. At present, the weapon system, 1 plasma special pulse heavy gun, 3 shipboard 120mm twin-mounted rapid electromagnetic guns. FG-300 frigate to ship firepower increases. Firepower, 200015150. This data has been collected into the battleship blueprint, and building new battleships will be automatically updated to this template. What? Qin Sheng's pupils contracted sharply. Episode 3. The firepower of a shipboard 120mm twin-mounted rapid electromagnetic gun is 500. The 4 doors together are 2,000. Now, just one of them has been replaced with a plasma special pulsed heavy artillery. The firepower against the ship was directly increased to 151,500. That is to say, the power of this plasma special pulse heavy gun alone is as high as 150,000. This. What a terrifying firepower this is. You must know that in the past life, Qin Sheng had been operating for many years, and among the fleets, the battleships with the most powerful firepower on ships were only worth 200,000. Now, as soon as the game starts, a battleship fires 150,000. And what shocked Qin Sheng the most was the voice before. Obviously, he obtained a primitive heavy electromagnetic gun module that was ordinary, with 1500 firepower against the ship. Suddenly flashing a 100-fold increase, he obtained 100,000 pairs of plasma special pulse heavy artillery modules. Qin Sheng swallowed his saliva and couldn't believe it. Reward amplification system can be used to increase the designated substances other than non-living by 100-fold. In the future, the system can be upgraded to 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times the increase. The reward he gets can be multiplied by 100-fold. Terror. And the battleship template has been updated to blueprints. That is, he will only build the FG-300 frigate in the future. It is possible to build such a battleship with a plasma special pulsed heavy gun. Terror. It's horrible. And just got 600 technical values. This is a battle reward, and the skill points are generally used to climb the tech tree and upgrade the blueprints of the battleship. Now, it's time to find a suitable place to build a base. Qin Sheng recovered from the shock and thought to himself. It is also important to choose the construction site of the base at the beginning. The surrounding mineral resources must be abundant. Mineral resources are also graded. The most common is the first-level cosmic dust belt. It contains a variety of minerals, but it is also the least abundant. This was followed by the secondary meteorite belt, the tertiary large meteorite belt, and the fourth magnitude asteroid belt. Further up are the 5th-level small broken star belt and the 6th-level large broken star belt, as well as the highest level of the 7th-level mineral planet. If I want to build a base, I can't just find the lowest level. At the very least, you have to find a location above a 3rd-level large meteorite belt. Otherwise, I will inevitably fall into the dilemma of insufficient resource exploitation. Exhausted to find new locations, how can I develop? Qin Sheng thought to himself. In his previous life, he was not chosen because he did not choose a good location at the beginning. As a result, they had to relocate and struggled to find new and suitable locations. But good locations are either occupied by other players, or it is occupied by a large number of pirates, other alien forces. Open the star map that came with the battleship. Qin Sheng began to observe. Above the star map, the entire 0521 Multius galaxy is shown, and the entire galaxy is divided into 11 regions. Areas 1 to 6 on the periphery and 6 to 10 areas on the inner circle. And the 11th region of the core 3-star system. At this moment, Qin Sheng was in the 3rd region of the lower left corner of the galaxy. And most of the place above the star map is completely black. Only the 100,000-kilometer radius around Qin Sheng's warship was observable. This was the vision of Qin Sheng's battleship. It turns out I'm in Zone 3, just like in my previous life. Well, I remember that not far from where I was located, there was a mining base for interstellar pirates. Determining his position, Qin Sheng immediately gave the order. Anvillia, go to the target location above the star map. Anvillia looked at the complete blackness marked by Qin Sheng, and there was no place for vision at all. She did not hesitate in the slightest, and only had infinite loyalty to Qin Sheng in her heart. Yes, Emperor, in the middle of the universe. A silver-white frigate, a yellow engineering ship, started its engines. Start flying towards the target location. The distance is not far. Only 50 million kilometers. With the speed of the FG-300 frigate at 4 million kilometers per hour, it takes less than 13 hours to arrive. During this time, Qin Sheng was bored. Anvillia needs control of the battleship again, and he can only chat with the fighting humanoid Z1 Ella, who is as idle as he is. Ella is a combat humanoid and is responsible for leading the same fighting humanoid as her to land, or attack the battle. Qin Sheng knew that the fighting human form was infinitely loyal to him. But Qin Sheng did not expect that this loyalty. Some overdoings. Your Majesty the Emperor. When Ella saw Qin Sheng, she was extremely excited and was about to pounce on him. Ella, who has a bumpy body, is very well capitalized. The long golden ponytail tied up behind the head jumped and jumped. Now that there is no one around, I will be the first person to monopolize His Majesty the Emperor. Hey hey, hey hey. Delicate and beautiful face with a silly smile. Just when Qin Sheng was about to be thrown down, a virtual panel was directly blocked between the two of them. Ella. Avelia's frosty face appeared above the virtual face. Do you want His Majesty the Emperor to be hurt? Now His Majesty the Emperor's body is still just an ordinary person, and you weigh at least 1 ton. I cannot forgive anyone who could have wounded His Majesty the Emperor. Avelia's eyebrows were full of coldness. The tactical humanoid appearance is very beautiful, tall and slender. But no matter how realistic it is still a silicon-based organism inside. Not to mention Ella's fighting human form, weighing at least a ton or so. Not to mention the in-depth communication, even if it is not light or heavy to touch, Qin Sheng, who is still an ordinary person, is likely to fracture. At this moment, Ella's obvious reaction was that she was hasty. But she was very unconvinced. Cut, I will control the power, you face paralysis. And aren't you controlling a battleship? Could it be that you've been spying on the Emperor all along? As soon as these words came out, Avrilia's face was stagnant, and there was some ruddiness under the frost. Subsequently, Ella directly bypassed the virtual panel and came to Qin Sheng, with a beautiful face full of seriousness. Respect the Emperor, can I go to your room tonight? I want to report to you about the battleships. Ella pondered for a moment, tilted her head, and then continued, yes, about the formation of commandos in the form of combat humanoids. Qin Sheng raised an eyebrow, something was wrong. You're sure to feed me? You slut. But. Come to my room tonight. Qin Sheng could only suffer in silence. Tens of billions of human players are distributed in the galaxy, or ion cantilever. Moreover, before establishing your own base, there are many functions of the Star Sea game system that cannot be used. For example, trading systems, chat channels, and the like. Now Qin Sheng didn't understand how the other players were developing. 12 hours later. Qin Sheng woke up. Patted Ella, who was snuggling up beside her. Get dressed and come to the bridge. At this moment, it is close to the target location. 500,000 kilometers away from the target. At this moment, Anviria's voice rang out, Emperor, there are more than 10 warships in front of us, which are advancing towards us. Most of the models are FG-300 frigates. It's other human forces. Qin Sheng heard this and pondered slightly, are they targeting us? No, they. Looks like they're running away. Anvilia looked dignified. Episode 4, in the middle of endless space. More than a dozen silver-white FG-300 frigates spewed out a large amount of blue flames from the engine jets in the tail. The power of the engine overload brings these FG-300 frigates to the extreme speed. The battleship in charge is a very unique battleship, completely different from the FG-300. It's like a jellyfish. Thorn Jellyfish class, tactical frigate, bridge in the middle. A beautiful girl with worried eyebrows looked at the star map in front of her. Did you get rid of them? Captain, they have thrown themselves away, and they are not pursuing. An elf woman with sharp ears and a beautiful face and long blonde hair replied. Ice Lemon breathed a sigh of relief, which was fine. She was very lucky, and the initial race was the elves. Elves, combat potential, S. Wisdom potential, A. Combined potential, A. Special talent, psychic affinity. Evaluation, with a unique psychic talent, is this lucky, or is it a disaster? The elves possess the gift of psionic affinity, even if they are weak at first and unable to use psionic energy. He can also become an extraordinary strategist with the wisdom and command ability brought about by his innate spiritual affinity. Ice Lemon had great luck and found an abandoned alien base at the beginning of the game, from which a good one was found. Thorn Jellyfish class tactical frigates. The initial firepower of the Stingray class tactical frigate is 6,000. The evaluation of the growth potential of the ship's firepower is S-class. And she understands the importance of the place to start. After discovering that there was a mining base for alien pirate forces, she united with more than 24 players assigned to her. We want to jointly capture this mining base. After all, according to their observation, there were only a dozen pirate ships in the base. And this mining base is hugely productive, enough for more than 24 of them to divide equally. However, Ice Lemon had no idea that the enemy would be so strong. In almost one shot, the players' forces destroyed 5 battleships. The players then lost their morale and began to flee. 5 more battleships were damaged during the escape. Damn, these pirates are so powerful. This time I escaped by chance, so I had to choose to develop elsewhere and come back later. The silver teeth of the Ice Lemon clenched, and the pink hand grasped the fist and slammed it on the command panel in front of him. Captain, there are 2 other players' ships ahead. A frigate, an engineering ship. Look at their path forward, it's the pirates' mining base. At this time, the voice of the elf beauty conductor suddenly rang out. Ice Lemon narrowed her eyes and hurriedly said, hurry up and send him a communication to warn this player that he can't go any further. Further on is death. Captain, a communication request has been sent, but the other side has not responded. Damn, I can't handle it. If you want to send it to death, just send it. Qin Sheng naturally received the communication request of the Ice Lemon. And for the name of Ice Lemon, he knew. The most famous extraordinary strategist in his previous life, with the spiritual talent of the Elven clan under his command, broke through the galaxy. But combat potential S-class. The overall evaluation was only A. Why? Because people with high spiritual affinity, in the middle and late stages, will greatly attract the attention of the four evil gods of subspace. The higher it is, the more dangerous it is. In the past life, the Ice Lime was because there were too many people with high spiritual strength of the Elven clan under his command. It was polluted by the full force of the subspace evil gods. Eventually, including the Ice Lemon, the entire Elven clan degenerated into the Chaos Witch. Ice Lemon herself transformed into the Chaos Demon Queen. Qin Sheng's frigates and engineering ships almost passed by the player fleet led by Ice Lemon. This guy is going to that pirate base just now? Is he going to die? Did we warn him? It seems like a warning, but it's useless. Well, then he's completely dead. We have more than 24 warships, and one face will directly collapse. He wants to hit the base with a frigate? Don't worry about him, this man must be a cerebral palsy, just a frigate, not self-measured. This guy is dead. Players were also sending communications to each other, mocking Qin Sheng's inadequacy. Among the players, some people also touched their chins and looked at the scene displayed on the virtual panel in front of them. Looking at one of Qin Sheng's 2 warships, one of them, greed flashed in his eyes. Walter Alvin is one of them. He is a Lighthouse Nation player. Races under the command. Saint Heli, combat potential, A. Wisdom potential, B. Combined potential, B+. Evaluation, oviparous lizards are humanoid races, strong strength and physical fitness far beyond ordinary humans. Each person is a strong elite warrior. If he goes to die, then he will definitely place the engineering ship a little farther away. That way, I can wait for his battleship to be destroyed before I can raid his engineering ship. In this way, I have 2 engineering ships, which can help my development a lot. A person with cerebral palsy who is sent to death does not deserve to own an engineer ship. Walter Alvin had a glint of greed in his eyes. And the players who have this idea are no longer a minority. As a result, these players' warships were disengaged fleets, far behind Qin Sheng. Ice Lemon also noticed this. But she didn't care. Nominally she was the temporary leader of the fleet, but now that the siege had failed, she could no longer command the players. Alas, another human life. Ice Lemon sighed, but didn't pay too much attention. Emperor, there are other players trailing behind, do you want to destroy them? Anvilia reported to Qin Sheng at the first time. As she spoke, she also glanced at Ella, who was nestled in Qin Sheng's arms. If they don't do anything out of the ordinary, they don't have to care. As soon as they dare to attack us, they will be destroyed immediately. Qin Sheng's eyes flashed a dangerous light. Obey orders. Qin Sheng's purpose was that no one would offend me, and I would not offend. If anyone offends me, I will slaughter them all. Soon, Qin Sheng's warships were close to the range of the pirate mining base. A pirate mining base is a mining base built on top of a meteorite 3 kilometers in diameter. There are also a large number of floating meteorites of different sizes and containing various minerals. This is a 4th-degree asteroid belt. Hound Star Marauder, mining base. Intelligence, unknown. Qin Sheng looked at the size of the mining base that appeared on the virtual panel. With his experience in his previous life, just by looking at its size, he could roughly know the level of this base. The size of this pirate mining base. At least 3 5th-level pirate fleets are stationed. No wonder more than 24 players didn't play. And now, it's time for me to play. Qin Sheng's eyes contained self-confidence. Episode 5, a 5th-level pirate fleet. According to Qin Sheng's memories, it contained 3 destroyers and 2 frigates. 3 destroyers, a Scorching-class heavy artillery assault ship. A Grim-class defensive destroyer. 1 AC-721 heavy amphibious assault ship. The heavy amphibious assault ship is equipped with 2 RB-7-13 heavy missile boats. The other 2 frigates are the Rage-class torpedo frigates. Among them, the most prominent Scorching-class heavy artillery assault ship firepower is more than 10,000. Not to mention the torpedo frigates dedicated to ships, as well as flexible, fast, and small missile boats. The fighting power is very strong. A conservative estimate is the firepower of the entire 5th-level pirate fleet. More than 40,000. 3 pirate fleets combined can reach 120,000. This terrifying firepower, that is, the group of players just ran fast. Before attacking, Qin Sheng left an eye on his heart. orders Ella to lead the battle humanoids to stay behind on the engineering ship and guard against the sneak attacks up right arrow down right arrow of the players in the rear. In the face of Qin Sheng's approach, the pirates obviously did not care. Another fool is coming to die? Stupid, Fleet 3 set out to teach this stupid humanity a lesson. Let them understand that not everyone can come to provoke our hound interstellar marauder. Only one of 3 guard fleets was sent. The Scorching-class heavy artillery assault ships with a body length of more than 600 meters are huge. It is nearly 3 times that of the Qin Sheng FG-300 frigate. And Vilya, is the main gun fully charged? Report to the Emperor, after the previous 12 hours of charging, has been recharged. The main gun can be fired 5 times at full power. Can it only be launched 5 times? But it's enough. The FG-300 frigate's original RT-150 integrated energy conversion system has limited power. In order to drive 150,000 pairs of ship attacks, plasma special pulse heavy artillery must be charged in advance. Even if it is charged for 12 hours, it can only shoot 5 times. But, 5 times, enough? The 5-level pirate fleet, the 5 warships began to approach Qin Sheng's FG-300 type heavy pulse frigate. The distance between the two sides is 200,000 kilometers. And Vilya's dark and bright eyes narrowed slightly, and her brain quickly calculated the trajectory of the opposing fleet. Players watching from afar also began to get excited. And Walter Alvin ordered the battleship, close to Qin Sheng's engineering ship. And ordered hundreds of elite Saint Heli warriors under his command. Get ready to force the ship. And Virya awaited the opportunity to attack, and the pirate fleet was gradually approaching, waiting for an excellent range. Avrilya's eyes flashed with blue data. It's now. The 5 pirate warships formed a parallel straight line. Launch. The 450mm caliber plasma special pulse heavy artillery instantly fired an incomparably dazzling purple beam of light. It was like a light that opened up the world, as if it tore apart the dark cosmic starry sky on both sides of the surrounding area. Swept. A terrifying purple plasma beam swept by. Boom boom. 5 silent, brilliant explosions flickered in space. In just an instant, this 5th-level pirate fleet was completely destroyed. What? Players watching from afar were shocked. They all grew this mouth and their eyes widened. My jaws are about to fall. It's all FG-300 frigates. Why can his ship shoot lasers? Yes. It's scary. As soon as the laser swept away, the pirate ship that had just destroyed more than a dozen of our warships was completely destroyed. Those players who were ready to steal up right arrow down right arrow Qin Sheng instantly dispelled their thoughts, and then withdrew at the speed of light. Just kidding, they haven't lived long enough. Walter Alvin, who was the first to strike, did not pay attention to the frontal battlefield. Because his battleship was now docked next to Qin Sheng's engineering ship, setting up a landing passage. Prepare to forcibly break through the hatch of the engineering ship and forcibly control the engineering ship. Boom. The engineering ship heard a violent explosion. The hatch was blasted. An elite Saint Heli warrior who was more than 2 meters tall, incredibly strong, with the pedals of a zombie in the Resident Evil movies and the mouthparts full of fangs, burst into the interior of the engineering ship. Ha ha ha. This engineering ship is mine. Walter Alvin, dressed in basic bulletproof armor and holding a single-edged chainsaw sword, laughed. Most of the elite warriors of Saint Heli were also armed with guns and single-edged chainsaw swords. This is their racial characteristic, because the physical fitness is particularly strong, that is, advocating melee and death charge. Opposite Walter Alvin is Allah, tall, slender, and also wearing basic bulletproof armor. And 50 fighting humanoids. Ha! After Walter saw clearly that there was a group of tall, beautiful girls on the other side, he laughed even more wildly. He won. Sisters, they all have melee weapons. Above Allah's beautiful, sunny face appeared a smile with a hint of madness and an incomparably beautiful smile. As soon as these words came out, the fighting humanoid girls dropped their rifles and pulled out their tactical long knives. The next moment, Walter's originally wild smile stiffened. In a pitch-black vacuum. The screens inside the engineering ship did not have the medium to spread outward. Your FG-300 plasma pulse frigate destroyed the Tier 5 pirate fleet. You get the technical data value X64 from this battle. You get loot, aggregate energy conversion system module, additional armor system module. 100-fold increase. You get the technical data value X6400. You get the curvature aggregation energy conversion system module. You got the amethyst nano armor module. Has consumed 400 technical values to automatically upgrade the module, replace. Current energy system, curvature aggregation energy conversion system. Provides powerful energy. This system is generally to supply the curvature engine. Current armor module, Amethyst Nano Armor. Battleship armor thickness has been increased. FG300 Plasma Pulse Heavy Gun Frigate Armor Thickness, 250mm 1100mm. Battleship Structure Value, 9650965000. Amethyst Nano Regenerated Armor. Its strength is directly immune to electromagnetic heavy artillery attacks below 450mm caliber. And with the nano regeneration function, the battleship structure value recovery speed of 2000. Related technology has been added to battleship blueprints. Qin Sheng's eyes were red when he heard the prompt. Curvature Aggregation Energy Conversion System. Powerful supply allows Qin Sheng to no longer have to worry about the main cannon charging problem. Amethyst Nano Regenerated Armor. It is directly immune to electromagnetic heavy artillery attacks below the caliber of 450mm. That is to say, the ordinary ships below the cruiser, the artillery fire hit the body of Qin Sheng's battleship, and they did not break the defense at all. Moreover, the nanoworms carried by the Amethyst Nano Armor will automatically repair the armor. Recovery structure value 2000 per second. 120,000 structure values can be recovered in 1 minute. Horror, how terrifying. The battle is not over yet. Qin Sheng's eyes lit up and he looked at the pirates' mining base. At this moment, inside the mining base, there are 2 5th-level pirate fleets. Episode 6. At this moment, the length of the FG-300 frigate has increased from the original length of 250 meters to 510 meters. In the dark space, above the silver-white hull, there was a faint purple luster. The muzzle of the plasma special pulsed heavy artillery above the battleship glowed cold, pointing to the pirate mining base. The pirates in the pirate base were instantly wiped out when they saw a fleet sent out. As if frightened, the close defense system and missile system in the base were all turned on. Killed and unwilling to send out the fleet again. And this could overwhelm Qin Sheng. Don't come out? Well, I'll just go straight to the plasma pulse to wash the floor. Anyway, Qin Sheng didn't want a mining base, but this mining area. Inside the pirate mining base. Thousands of pirates stationed at the mining base were in a panic. Damn. What kind of super god-class battleship is that battleship outside of the fallen empire? It's so terrifying that a single pulse of energy directly wiped out one of our fleets. Or let's go out and surrender. Panic what? The pirate leader roared in anger and suppressed all the voices of everyone. We have already observed that the size of that battleship is not large, and the armor must not be thick. We only need to defend with all our strength to repel him with the defense system of the base. Now we just need to send a message for help and wait for support. In any case, our main fleet also has the existence of battlecruisers. When the pirate leader said this, the pirates were all at ease. One by one, they were not so flustered. At this moment, an interstellar pirate in charge of the long-range observation system suddenly shouted. Look at the picture. The battleship suddenly moved to a parallel position with us, 200,000 kilometers away. What does he want to do? The pirate leader suddenly had a bad premonition. Quick! All missile systems, base guns, all fired. Whether you can hit him or not, shoot me. The pirate leader roared hysterically. At the mining base, above the weapons platform, one after another ground-based missile launchers turned direction. A base gun turns the muzzle. However, at this moment, in the cosmic starry sky, above Qin Sheng's battleship, the muzzle of the pulse-heavy cannon spewed out terrifying purple plasma pulses in an instant. The plasma within the emitted purple pulse is bound within a certain range by electromagnetic forces. So no matter how far away it is, it will not spread. Forever maintained as a beam of light. However, once the purple pulse bombards the target, the restrained electromagnetic force disappeared, and the terrifying plasma pulse spread in an instant. The terrifying heat will directly evaporate everything in the range. It's like a constantly pounding stream of water. The powerful energy supply of the curvature polymerization energy conversion system allowed the plasma pulse to bombard the meteorite with a diameter of 2 kilometers. Everything above the meteorite, the interstellar mining base on the surface, the pirates inside the base, the battleships, all evaporated in an instant. Vaporization. Plasma pulsed beams of light dissipated in the pitch-black universe. The irregular spherical meteorite, which was originally 2 kilometers in diameter, has now been transformed into a diameter of nearly 2 kilometers. The surface is crystal clear, reflecting the light of 3 stars in the distance, a huge glass-like sphere. Everything above the glass ball meteorite has disappeared. It's so pretty. Anvilia stood next to Qin Sheng and looked at the scenery. The body secretly approached Qin Shua, and Qin Shua did not seem to notice her approach. She was bold, getting closer and closer, as if snuggling up to him, expressionless, and a touch of softness appeared on her cold and beautiful face. Ding dong. A system prompt sounds. Well, destroying the entire interstellar pirate mining base at once should have a lot of rewards. Qin Sheng was secretly looking forward to his reward prompt in his heart. Ding dong, system prompt. Full service system announcement. Huh? Qin Sheng was slightly stunned. Full service system announcement, human player Emperor, complete the first achievement in the universe. Earn the achievement title, Iron Heart Exterminator. Full service system announcement, human player Emperor, complete the first achievement in the universe. Iron Heart Exterminator, get rewarded, 1 million tons of metal resources, 100,000 tons of purple crystal resources, 10,000 tons of heavy hydrogen resources. Get rewards, Galaxy Technology Reward Chest X1. Qin Sheng's eyes widened. Iron Heart Exterminator title? I'm dripping. Qin Sheng knew this title. However, in a previous life, the recipient of this title was an alien player. At that time, it also basically developed into the middle and late stages. Once in a war with humans, the alien player directly used plasma orbit bombing, burning an entire planet of human player power into glass. This earned the alien player the title of achievement. What Qin Sheng didn't expect was that he just burned the surface of a meteorite with a diameter of 3 kilometers into glass. Killed all the interstellar pirates on the meteorite. That's what earned him that title. Title Iron Heart Exterminator. Evaluation: what kind of cold-blooded and ruthless people would issue a complete extermination order on an entire planet? Incidental skill, Deterrence Aura, Diplomatic Deterrence plus 50, Personal Deterrence plus 50. Those who are not firm in their hearts will be unable to help but want to surrender to you, and those who are firm in their hearts will instinctively feel fear if they are enemies of you. 100 times increase, get rewarded, 100 million tons of metal resources, 10 million tons of purple crystal resources, 1 million tons of heavy hydrogen resources. The title of Iron Heart Exterminator has increased 100-fold. Qin Sheng was stunned. The title effect can also be increased by 100-fold? Diplomatic Deterrence plus 5,000. Personal Deterrent plus 5,000. The Aura of Deterrence has evolved into an Aura of Emperors. Emperor Aura, Effect 1, any human, subhuman, humanoid creature will see you and can't help but admire you from the heart. Effect 2, any non-humanoid alien race will feel a great deal of fear from the heart when it sees you. Effect 3, your own existence is supreme, immune to subspace pollution, immune to chaos evil god pollution. Qin Sheng inhaled cold air. Boy. This time he really became an emperor. Disloyal. Honest. Episode 7, the title effect of the Iron Heart Exterminator, the first two effects of the Emperor's aura. Qin Sheng didn't care much. The key is the third effect. Immune to subspace contamination. Immune to chaos evil god pollution. In other words, even if Qin Sheng stood in front of the subspace, the chaos evil god. The chaos evil god couldn't launch any attack against Qin Sheng's thoughts either. From this point on, Qin Sheng was in an invincible position. This effect is good if I want to learn psychic energy in the future. Then no matter how strong my spiritual energy is, the subspace evil god can't pollute me at all. For a moment, Qin Sheng's mind was set. In a previous life, when faced with the natural disaster of the invasion of subspace demons, he had seen too many strong spiritual beings being polluted by subspace and thus throwing themselves into the arms of the chaos evil god. What Qin Sheng didn't know was that at this moment, a base had been established in the universe, and in the chat channel, the players had turned the sky upside down. At Emperor. At Emperor. Oh, it's only been under 24 hours now. Someone can extinguish the stars. Sleeper, what kind of anti-heavenly gangster is this? At Emperor, big guy. Is the big guy here? Why didn't the big guy talk back? This is the Emperor, this is clearly the Divine Emperor. After such a long time, why didn't the Emperor come out to speak? In the chat system, one after another Galaxy public screenshots that need to use heavy hydrogen energy to pay flashed. Early in the game, heavy hydrogen energy is precious. It can be seen that players have also taken pains to get this mysterious Emperor to come out and say a word. But no matter how the players are ate, the mysterious Emperor seemed to be dumb and did not say a word. Isn't it? The Emperor has not yet established a base? Can't speak inside the chat system? Until one player's guess was issued, all human players were shocked. Before the base was established, the stars were extinguished. What is this ultimate horror gangster? At this time, some people began to jump out and brush the sense of existence. For more Free Fallu novels, https://discord.gg/bpy8hmhp. Human players are available from all countries. Lighthouse player, I think this emperor must be a member of our lighthouse nation. Only the world's #1 lighthouse country will have such a player. Neon nation player, no. The emperor is definitely us neon people. Loki dormancy, this is the tradition of our neon country. Stick nation player, West 8. The emperor is certainly the man of our stick country. After all, our 5,000-year history is a big country. Dragon Kingdom player. Little Day and Stick, the words you two say are very familiar. Among them, the players of the stick country jump the most. They are also the most positive. Even in the Galaxy public screen channel. Spend precious heavy hydrogen energy. One by one, the Galactic Horns said, the Emperor is the man of our awesome country. Players from all other countries were left speechless. Somewhere in the universe, in the midst of a dark planet, dozens of humanoid creatures wrapped in black robes that made it impossible to see their appearance gathered together. All around them, there was blood, severed limbs, and corpses everywhere. These corpses all have a unified feature. That is, there is no head. Heads were gathered together to form a throne-like building. This emperor, my god, must be very satisfied. If we can pull the emperor into chaos, then my god will surely reward me. Maybe it will reward us for ascending the devil. Speaking of ascending demons, the scarlet eyes of all the black-robed people flashed with greed and longing. Praise my god. Blood sacrifice blood god. Cranial consecrated. Search for traces of the emperor. Qin Sheng, on the other hand, did not know anything about these things. Because he has not yet officially built his own base. At the moment he was sorting out the rewards he had received. Among them, 100 million tons of metal, 10 million tons of purple crystals, and 1 million tons of heavy hydrogen resources are not to mention. Different containers are being placed on top of the meteorite that has become a glass ball and is nearly 3 kilometers in diameter. There is also a galactic technology bonus chest. This treasure chest was unexpected by Qin Sheng and did not increase into 100. In addition to these, there are also rewards for destroying the entire pirate base. Destroy the entire pirate mining base, 2 pirate fleets, 6,371 interstellar pirates. 100x bonus increase. Get technical value x12800. Get module, accelerate vector engine amplification for curvature engine module. Storm missile system amplification to Comet Storm missile system module. The additional armor system is amplified by the Amethyst Nano Regenerative Armor System. Ding dong, since you already have the Amethyst Nano Regenerative Armor System, you can now choose from the following 2 options. First, convert it into 10,000 technical values, and second, invest 10,000 technical values to miniaturize Amethyst Nano Regenerative Armor technology. Qin Sheng pondered slightly and chose the second option. Consume technology worth 10,000. The prior art value is 124540. Moments later. The system prompt sounds again. Congratulations on your access to the Amethyst Nano Regenerative Individual Armor technology. Congratulations on getting the extra companion technology, the single-edged nano tremor sword. Congratulations on the additional companion technology, the TTA-5 model electromagnetic assault rifle technology. Good stuff. Qin Sheng sighed slightly. With this Amethyst Nano Regeneration individual armor, he can equip every combat humanoid. And the defensive capability of the Amethyst Nano Regenerative Armor. It must be quite scary. This technique, which acts on the armor of warships, was miniaturized into individual equipment. It can only be described in one sentence. That is the strong defense ability of single soldiers forcibly breaking in without damage and falling into the atmospheric level of the planet. At the same time, Qin Sheng also equipped the remaining 2 modules on the battleship. After completing all this, Qin Sheng set his eyes on the meteorite in front of him that was nearly 3 kilometers in diameter, like a glass ball. It's time to build his base. Episode 8. Although the surface of this meteorite has been burned into glass. Plasma washing the ground, although can destroy all the buildings and creatures on the surface of the meteorite. But it is also tightly confined to the surface. The interior of the meteorite contains a large number of minerals, as well as countless small meteorite belts floating around the meteorite. All in perfect condition. Waiting for Qin Sheng to establish a base to mine. At this time, Qin Sheng was in contact with the engineering ship waiting for the end of the battle in the rear. How's it going, is it solved? Qin Sheng asked directly. Inside an engineering ship 300,000 kilometers away. Engineer humanoid G1 Neil said in that small, soft voice, report to the Emperor, Ella has been Before she could finish speaking, it was obvious that as soon as the picture turned, Ella grabbed the communicator. The blonde single ponytail maiden's beautiful face had purple blood. Report to the Emperor, it has all been solved, and we still have a prisoner. Blood-stained tactical long knives carried on her shoulders, and Ella revealed a big grin. Very good job. Clear out the bodies of the engineering ship and come back to me. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly and praised. Hey, these are all small meanings, and it doesn't take much effort. Praised by Qin Sheng, Ella was not modest, and her white tender fingers rubbed Xiong's nose like green onions. Turn off communication. Qin Sheng breathed a sigh of relief, opened his eyes again, and suddenly found an air of Avelia's frosty face approaching him. Praise me. These two words came out of the jade mouth coldly. What? Qin Sheng was stunned. Anvilia turned her face slightly sideways, not letting Qin Sheng see the slight redness. Praise me, you just boasted of Ella. After hearing it clearly, Qin Sheng sighed. Are you a 3-year-old child? This point also needs to be compared? Okay, I see. You are also great, and for me, the most important thing is you. Qin Sheng said, and also reached out and rubbed Anvilia's head. Above Avelia's face on the side, her dark eyes opened slightly. It seemed completely unexpected that Qin Sheng would do this. The face beneath the frost burned red, but fleetingly. He turned around, and then walked away as if nothing had happened. And then go faster and faster. Then he stopped where Qin Sheng couldn't see at all. The delicate white palm caressed his face, which was no longer cold, and was already completely red. Anvilia, be bold. There was no one around, and Anvilia scolded herself for the indisputable anger she had just had, and just by being exaggerated, she couldn't hold back at all. But just now the Emperor said she was the most important person. This made Avelia's mechanical heart in her chest flutter and burn. Qin Sheng shook his head slightly. What is this called? Just then, the other tactical humanoid maidens in the bridge heard a chirping warbler swallow sound. Oh, you say, Sister Ella and Sister Anvilia, which of them will be the first to win the favor of His Majesty the Emperor? I think it's Sister Anvilia. After all, don't you find this high cold fan very attractive? But I heard that Sister Ella seems to have been on home run. Really? The beautiful girls were amazed. In fact, compared to Sister Ella or Sister Anvilia, I would like to win the favor of His Majesty the Emperor. A delicate-looking, playful-looking tactical humanoid girl closed her eyes tightly, as if she were imagining something. Soon blushed. Cough cough. Qin Sheng pretended to cough twice. The girls immediately stopped turning their heads and ears and tried their best to control the battleship. Yellow engineer ships flew from space. Begin docking on top of the glass meteorite. The blue engine tail flame began to weaken. The tail flames of the landing erupted from underneath the engineering ship. Land slowly. Among the hatches that had been damaged during the previous battle, Ella jumped down first. Steady landing. Wow, Your Majesty, this meteorite has become beautiful. It's like a big glass ball. Ella looked around at the surrounding landscape, the crystal-clear ground reflecting the light of distant stars. Qin Sheng, who was on the silver-white battleship of 510 meters long, heard Ella's words in the headset and said, "Let Neil lead the engineering humanoids to start building the base." The battleship then landed. The hatch opened and a tactical humanoid girl stepped down. Unlike the tactical humanoid maiden who did not need any spacesuits, Qin Sheng was essentially an ordinary person. He needs spacesuits or individual armor to protect the universe from all kinds of radiation and oxygen supplies. The length of the engineering ship is the same as that of the basic FG-300 frigate, 250 meters long. Above there are various large mechanical equipment. Neil is the engineering humanoid, responsible for directly using the remote data connection and wirelessly controlling these devices. Qin Sheng watched like this, and the engineering humanoid maidens quickly dismantled all the engineering ships. That's right, it's an engineered ship. It is also the base from which players started. Dismantle the engineering ship and reassemble it. A small primary base was built. Primary space base, LV.1. Current building, Central Research Room. Tier 1 mining wells, metal output, 2,000 tons/day, purple crystals, 100 tons/day, heavy hydrogen, 10 tons/day. First-class battleship production line. Primary population assembly center. Open-air warehouse platform. Current resources, 100 million tons of metal, 10 million tons of purple crystals, 1 million tons of heavy hydrogen. Base defense, none. This was Qin Sheng's base. The most basic space base, the Central Research Room is the most central of the base. Before there was no special combat command room, it was here responsible for communications, scientific research, command, and other work. And there is no special warehouse. The so-called warehouse is an open-air platform on which various resources are piled up. I miss it, the most elementary base. In my previous life, I was from such a base and slowly developed and grew up. Qin Sheng walked into the central research room and sighed. At this time, Ella walked in with several fighting humanoid maidens escorting one of the only remaining Saint Heli captives. Your Majesty, what will happen to this prisoner? Ella held a tactical long knife, the back of the knife resting on her shoulder, and kicked the Saint Heli prisoner. Activate the Iron Heart assimilation talent. Qin Sheng looked at the Saint Heli man in front of him, who was more than 2 meters tall, even if he was kneeling on the ground, and then said, "Let him see the effects of his silicon-based creature/tactical humanoid race-specific, iron-hearted assimilation talent." Episode 9. As soon as Qin Sheng's words were finished, he heard a voice coming from his ear. Iron Heart assimilation is in motion. Several azure rays of light fell from the ceiling of the central research room, directly on the elite warrior of Saint Heli. What? The elite warriors of Saint Heli were shocked, and a great panic emerged in their hearts. But the moment she saw Qin Sheng, her heart suddenly calmed down. Willingly, he bowed his head to Qin Sheng. In the blue light, the flesh and blood of Saint Heli's elite warriors began to gradually disintegrate. Subsequently, the entire body shattered in an instant, turning into a point of light in the sky. Then recombine in shape. The calcareous skeleton of carbon-based organisms is transformed into a silicon-based alloy backbone. Qin Sheng's eyes flashed with a strange light, mechanical ascension. Immortal. You will abandon your weak flesh and blood and join the glorious evolution. Race name, Saint Heli. Species, silicon-based organisms. Saint Heli's racial identity has been brought to the extreme. Battle potential, SS. Wisdom potential, S. Race composite rating, S+. Saint Heli's only class, Elite Maiden, Saint Heli Elite Maiden Warrior who is proficient in combat. All the light faded away, and what appeared in front of Qin Sheng again was a white-haired girl with exceptionally slender legs, an extremely tall figure, and a delicate figure. The sides of the cheeks are also different from the usual tactical humanoid shapes, with dotted scales. On each side of her face, 2 mechanical lines link from the jaws on those sides to the cherry lips. A pair of beautiful red eyes with a special charm. Behind him was a silvery white mechanical tail that swung left and right. As soon as she appeared, her beautiful eyes were filled with enthusiasm. Kneeling down on one knee to Qin Sheng, he said in an extremely eager tone, "Saint Heli Elite Maiden Warrior, S1 Hedi, see my Emperor. Name, S1 Hedi. Race, silicon-based bio/Saint Heli. Body length, 195 centimeters. Rating, LV.1. Occupation, Commander of the Land Grande Army. Combat Potential Rating, SSS. Ding dong, the system prompts that the Population Assembly Center has added a new race class, Saint Heli Elite Girl Warrior." Hearing the prompt, Qin Sheng nodded with great satisfaction. Very good. Some people feel like a grandmother. In other words, will this XP of the human grandmother be a little strange? Hey, no matter. The lady is also very fragrant. Moreover, the Saint Helis were a very proficient warrior. Later, the formation of the soldiers of his land legion could be handed over to the elite maiden warriors of Saint Heli. It was different from Qin Sheng's satisfaction. The fighting humanoid maidens led by Ella saw Hedi and invariably skimmed their lips. "My Emperor, you are the sun in the slave's heart, and your light shines on the slave all the time." Hedi knelt down on one knee and held out her hands to Qin Sheng, the eagerness in her eyes, as if she wanted to hug and touch the only warmth in the world. Cut. Ella's azure eyes were full of disgust, and she murmured, exclamation point. Suddenly, Ella had some regrets about taking this Saint Heli captive. Qin Sheng naturally also noticed some small emotions between Ella and the fighting humanoid maidens. After all, in Ella's view, the Saint Heli elite girl warriors were the emergence of such a new assimilated race specializing in combat. Undoubtedly robbing the battle of the humanoid maidens in front of him, the opportunity to perform. This is normal, the girls have rich feelings, but this little emotion will not affect their infinite loyalty to Qin Sheng. After doing this, Qin Sheng was looking at the blueprint of the battleship he currently had. It is also the only FG-300 frigate blueprint. However, the current FG-3200 frigate is completely different from the original one. Unknown name battleship. Type, frigate. Armor, amethyst nano regenerative armor. Automatically restores 2000 armor values per second. Armor thickness, 1100 millimeters. Body length, 510 meters. Self-weight, 247,000 tons. Ship armor value, 965,000. Weapon system, a plasma special pulsed heavy artillery. Comet Storm missile launch platform. Firepower against ships, 250,000. Anti-aircraft firepower, 100,000. Siege firepower, 50,000. Energy system, Curvature Aggregation Energy Conversion System. Conventional powertrain, EN150 Universal Vector Engine, 4 million kilometers per hour. Curvature engine, primary curvature engine, 92% light speed. Manufacturing demand, 150,000 tons of metal, 90,000 tons of purple crystals, 7,000 tons of heavy hydrogen. Production time, 24 hours. Pair, SSS, Air Defense, SSS, Siege, A, Battlefield Survivability, SSS, Strategy, S. Overall rating, SS grade. It's completely different, and the structure value becomes the armor value. The Comet Storm missile launch platform has 100,000 firepower on the ship, and the anti-aircraft firepower is also 100,000. Even the original name FG-300 frigate has become an unknown name battleship. The technology related to the manufacture of this battleship has also been automatically incorporated into the central research room. One fly in the ointment is that the conventional speed of ships is still 4 million km/h. And the battleship turns on the curvature engine. Entering curvature mode, the maximum speed is only 92% of the speed of light. That is, about 277,777 kilometers per second. It didn't exceed the speed of light. Qin Sheng now wanted to give this new, completely different ship a new name. According to Qin Sheng's vision, in the future, this battleship will be the most common grassroots firepower warship in Qin Sheng's future fleet. It's called Wuanjuan Class Pulse Heavy Gun Frigate. As soon as Qin Sheng patted his head, he was making a decision. Wuanjuan Class Pulse Heavy Gun Frigate. Wuanjuan, during the Spring and Autumn Warring States period, the title of human slaughter was white. Just about to order the construction of the Wuanjuan Class Pulse Heavy Gun Frigate, Qin Sheng suddenly remembered. It's as if there's a galactic technology reward chest that's not open. This treasure chest is now being placed in the central research room. Open the treasure chest. A big hand. Open the chest. Episode 10. Ding dong, congratulations on obtaining the technical blueprint for the light rapid gun destroyer of the Star I class. Congratulations on getting the Battleship Universal Build Module X500. 100 times increase. Congratulations on getting the God Star Siege Heavy Gun Destroyer. Congratulations on getting the Battleship Universal Build Module X50,000. Battleship Universal Construction Module. A unique construction module for the Star Sea game that can be used for the construction of battleships. This module will automatically change to become the module of the battleship you need based on your current level of technology and the blueprint of your battleship. And quickly assemble into a complete battleship, completely eliminating manufacturing time. This is good. This would directly omit the time of battleship construction. Name, Qin Star Siege Heavy Artillery Cruiser. Type, Cruiser/Siege Specialty. Armor, high-grade titanium crystal-plated armor. Armor thickness, 1,700 mm. Body length, 750 m. Self-weight, 506,400 tons. Ship armor value, 279-6000. Weapon system, a 600 mm ultra-electromagnetic accelerated siege heavy artillery. For Mach 240 mm reinforced electromagnetic guns against ships. Firepower against ships, 400,000. Anti-aircraft fire, 0. Siege firepower, 200,000. Energy system, curvature aggregation energy conversion system. Conventional powertrain, EN 18,000 fast vector engine, 400 million kilometers per hour. Curvature engine, none. Manufacturing demand, 400,000 tons of metal, 100,000 tons of purple crystals, 6,400 tons of heavy hydrogen. Production time, 24 hours. Pair, SSS, Air Defense, E, Siege, SSS, Battlefield Survivability, SSS, Strategy, SS. Overall rating, SS grade. Upgraded directly from destroyer to cruiser, but this air defense. Serious bias. Qin Sheng couldn't help but sigh while being shocked by the powerful siege ability of this battleship. This is a heavily biased battleship. Excellent siege ability, strong firepower against ships. But there is no anti-aircraft firepower. No, I've got to modify this battleship. The Comet Storm missile system of the Wuanjuan class frigates can be installed, as well as the primary curvature engine. The conventional engine of this battleship is very good, and it can be installed on the Wuanjuan class. Let's communicate with each other. Qin Sheng thought about it for a while, and then he communicated with Anvilia. Let Avrilia come to the Center Research Office and preside over the blueprint transformation work. The central research room of each player base has always been functional. Ability to assemble, and modify the blueprints of the battleships themselves. But it's not just the scientists responsible for the transformation who are capable of excelling. It is also necessary for the computer responsible for coordinating the research to have strong computing power. And the most critical point. That's the technical value. requires a huge amount of technical value to be consumed. In past lives, most players didn't like to use the makeover feature. One is that they don't have the ability. The second is that they do not have a huge amount of technical value. Third, even if it is successfully assembled by itself, it will be due to various capabilities. Lead to their own DIY out of the battleship, pull the crotch incomparable. Therefore, most players can only honestly use the mature battleship blueprint. Instead of transforming it yourself, researching. At present, Avrilia's computing power is of the superior level. Computing power is the lowest threshold for studying the blueprint for transformation. After receiving Qin Sheng's order, Avrilia began to preside over the transformation blueprint. First of all, the Comet Storm missile system of the Wuanjuan-class frigate was transplanted to the siege heavy artillery of Theos. You have to give this battleship air defense capability first. Ding dong, system prompt, need to consume technical value x 10,000. After Qin Sheng heard it, he sighed slightly. Studying the blueprint for transformation is really burning money, but fortunately I still have more than 100,000 technical values. It should be enough to complete the study. It also takes time to complete the research. During this time, Qin Sheng was bored to open the base's communication and chat system. I want to see how far other players have developed. As a result, as soon as he opened the chat system, Qin Sheng was stunned by the overwhelming IT and private messages. At Emperor, is the Emperor Big Guy here? At Emperor, Big Guy, in which district are you? At Emperor, I am the Galactic Orion area, the ally of the Divine Galactic Alliance Nakanamiamo, and I sincerely invite you to join the Divine Galactic Alliance. At Emperor, Big Guy, I dare to ask, when you were still on Earth before, which country were you from? At Emperor, I am Gabriel, the ally of the Alliance of the Silver and White Angels. As long as you are willing to join our alliance, the position of Deputy Lord of the Alliance is open to you. At Emperor, I am the Dragon Kingdom, the leader of the Spirit Heavenly Alliance Ice Lemon. I dare to ask, do you have any ideas to join the alliance? Good fellow, so many IT and private messages? Qin Sheng realized that he had become completely famous before. And, now there are players forming alliances? Many of them, Qin Sheng also knew their names, were some of the more famous allies in their previous lives. But now, Qin Sheng had no idea of joining the alliance. And private messages to him, IT his people, at least 1,000. It was impossible to reply one by one, and Qin Sheng could only set the private chat to a state of receiving but not reminding. What a leisure, these people, sending a cross-regional galactic horn, need to consume at least a ton of heavy hydrogen energy. Now players can only mine 10 tons of heavy hydrogen per day. Qin Sheng sighed, just wanted to turn off the chat system, and suddenly saw a very conspicuous galaxy horn. Galactic Horned King Sejong, the whole galaxy announces that the Emperor is actually our best countryman. No one else should talk. Qin Sheng, good fellow, when did he become a man of the great nation? Good fellow, the people of this stick country should have watched him not come out for a long time to speak, guessing that the base had not yet been established. Just jump out and announce it. True Nyama's faceless. For this situation, Qin Sheng had to clarify it. Galactic Horn Emperor? Qin Sheng didn't say much, just sent a question mark. But this one question mark directly blew up the street. Sleeper. The Emperor Gangster has appeared. Emperor Big Guy, please hug your thigh. Big Guy, please bring. For an instant, the people of the Stick Nation were silent. And all the other players came out. Qin Sheng wanted to say something more, but an urgent communication interrupted him. Attention all the pioneers, players, of the 0521 Mugman constellation codenamed 02140. Urgent notice. Urgent notice.